Hi there and welcome to another edition of What's the Word in association with Ladbrokes. This week joined by Nicola McGeady back in the house. How are you, Nicola? You well?
Yeah, good. I know you were a bit blown away by my Instagram story yesterday.
Yeah, well you were in the presence of broadcasting greatness, so a little hero. Who, go and tell us?
Sir Michael Parkinson, yeah, he was the guest speaker at the Sir Peter O'Sullivan lunch yesterday. And I kind of let myself down a bit because I would know him mainly from the ads with the pens and that. I mean,
at the races ads.
Yeah. But anyway, I know now how great he was. He was like the Jonathan Ross or the Graham Norton of his time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you afford a funeral?
He was some good race.
Also joined by Brendan Duke and David Jennings. David, big weekend for you last weekend. We're going to talk about some highlights from last weekend, but it was huge for you.
Yeah, it was.
Countdown is on.
Unbelievably, I'm getting married and it's becoming very real now. My stag was last weekend and we had a terrific weekend in Cheltenham. Unfortunately, none of you were there, but it was a great.
I was there looking out for you, but you obviously kept a low profile, boys only and all that.
Yeah. Brendan Duke was there, didn't see you either.
I went as a couple though, and couples and stags.
No, don't mix.
It's oil and water. Yeah.
Go on, what was your highlight of the weekend? Yours might not be horse racing related.
No, after racing on Saturday, 2 minibus loads of us went to the Plough at Ford on John Joe's Gallop, and it was possibly the nicest pub I've ever been in. The rugby was on, fire lighting, food was amazing, great crack.
You are ready for marriage, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, ready for the Cotswolds, because between that and Burton on the Water, you're just marking time.
Burton on the Water. If I could live in Burton on the Water for the rest of my life, even on my own, I'd be happy.
And then if you wanted to go on an away mission, you could go up to John Joe's place.
Could, yeah.
Okay, well, let's steer it back to horse race. What was your highlight of last weekend, Chucky?
Well, if you'll indulge me a little after timing, Tom,
Okay.
I went to...
Once a year, I do.
I went to Cheltenham for the weekend, and I hadn't been going well in the 2 weeks previously. And my first bet, I was convinced in running it was going to win. I was given a massive ramp in the stands. This will not be beaten, yada, yada, yada. And it was brought down at the second last. So I was fairly crestfallen. I thought, oh, the run is going to continue. But then my next bet was at Count Marybelle in a novice chase.
How did that win?
Well, he looked like he was going to win all the way, and then that wretched second last, which had already done for me, he clouded that. The jockey somehow hung on. The horse re-rallied and won by half a length, and after that, I kicked on for the weekend.
Oh, so, very good, very good. I'm accepting Michael Parkinson as your highlight of the weekend,
yes,
regardless of how relevant it was to you or not. Let's move on to the actual racing action on Saturday. Then, of course, the Great Betfair Chase, the highlight at Haydock Park. Give us a few prices there, Nicola, on this one, because it's a cracking renewal, even though there's only 5 runners.
It really is. My bites 10 to 11. Only one defeat last season when I'd stayed by Native River, and probably produced an even better performance, you could say, than after that at Aintree. Bristol Demise in there 13 to 2. Thistle cracks 9 to 1. But I think Clan de Zobo actually is maybe the one to come second in this race.
No.
Really?
No.
6 winners in the race.
The only thing is, because there's a question mark over the ground for some of them, and I think Clan de Zobo will handle the ground. So I think Mike Bite will win it. Clan de Zobo second.
Okay. Bristol Demise might not run. Sort of chat whether Nigel Twiston-Davies is going to walk the track beforehand, so there's a little doubt. Do you think he'll run?
I think he'll run, yeah. I don't think he'll win, though.
Yeah? Who do you think will win?
I won't just give you what I think he'll win. I'll tell you how the race will pan out.
Okay.
I think that Bristol Demise will try and make all again.
Okay.
I think that Native River will sit on his tail.
Close,
and I think Might Bite will sit third, and the other two will, well, Thistlecrack will probably sit beside Might Bite. But my theory on Might Bite is simple. I think in the Gold Cup, I thought Nico was just trying to, they knew stamina was an issue, they knew, so it was holding on to every last drop of energy for as long as he could, whereas the real Might Bite is killing horses early on in races, just demoralising them down the back straight, and I think he could do that tomorrow at Haydock. I can see Nico just gradually getting onto the tail of the two in front and maybe taking it up at the second down the back and just breaking their hearts. I think this could be overturned into the home straight, and I would advise anybody watching to back Might Bite to win by over the distances that Ladbrokes are offering. It could be 3 or 4 lengths tomorrow. You could get 3 to 1 to win by over 3 or 4 lengths. I think he could demolish these tomorrow. You
think he could demolish them? Okie doke. Jiggy, judging by your face, you don't agree.
I think it's a very difficult call, that, because if he repeats what he did in Aintree, I could see a demolition job. But if he pulls up in front like he did in Kempton, I could see him only winning by a couple of lengths. because he stopped in front that day. So I'm not sure I'd be risking him on the distance, but I think he'll win. I think anything around.
Do you agree with the sort of he's going to go out and break their hearts? I mean, it's not like it's a field lacking in stamina.
No, well, this is it. And I mean, Native River will be jumping away. I wouldn't think he'll take it up that early. Although, it is a dilemma. I do see what David is saying, because he jumped so well in Aintree. He was chasing Bristol de Mai, and Bristol de Mai, I backed Bristol that day. He's never jumped as well, and somehow my bike took a length out of him at every fence. It was just a ridiculous display of jumping, but he was still reluctant to go on with them. Perhaps bearing in mind what he did in Kempton, when it looked like he was just idling in front. So he's not a totally straightforward rider, although he's a lot more straightforward than he used to be. I'm not sure exactly how Nico's going to play it, but I think no matter what happens, he'll win.
Okay, no matter what happens, he'll win.
These are just his
2 votes there. And Nicola, you're going for Clandis. How about Pulnick?
I still think he'll win, but I think
you're getting a
Clandis
bit of value
for a second. A bit of value.
You're the forecast, yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move on to Ascot as well. The 205 there, the Christie 1965 Chase. Soon Politologue's warm order for this, Nicola?
Yeah, it's cut up a bit since I've arrived into the office, but Politologue is favourite. Should prove very hard to beat. He's Paul Nicholls' highest rated chaser, and I just think, he won last year in the Tingle Creek. He had a great season, really, and I think we're probably going to see some prices being cut for the King George, possibly the Gold Cup. They've mentioned that as well. They've got big plans for this horse. It's going to be a real stamina test, I think. You've got Gary Moore's Benatar in there, who jumps out a bit as well for me. I'd fancy him for a place. He's going to be suited to this trip, and he loves the track as well. Good
stuff. All right, Juki, are you with Politologue here?
I am afraid it's tip the favourites day for me, Tom. No joke, giving Charbel £6 now, and Charbel, obviously the Chepstow form got a massive boost at Cheltenham last weekend, and he is a proper horse. But Politologue is one of the best jumpers in training, and Ascot is probably the stiffest jumping test in the business. And I just think they're a match made in heaven.
Yeah, perfect.
I think it's jumping will win the day.
You're breathing heavily there. You're gonna disagree with Chucky on this?
Yeah, I like Politologue, and I think he's the most likely winner. But I'm going to take a chance on Gold Present. He is £16 to find on the figures. But I just go back to that Silver Cup win at Ascot. He was brilliant that day, and it was a proper handicap. He won it off 147. Frodon was second. Good horses like 007 and Single Far Payment were well beaten that day. He's had a wind up. And I just think he's such a spectacular jumper that will keep him in the race. And I think he's more about speed than stamina. I don't think he's a natural out-and-out stayer. I know they were trying to train him as a national horse. I think he's very good. And it was interesting to read Nicky's comments in a stable tour. He thinks there's a proper handicap in him, even off his mark on decent ground, which suggests that he's got a couple of pound in hand. I think this is an ideal starting point. And if Politologue isn't on his A game, which if he is, he wins, because ratings tell you that. If he isn't on his A game, I think Gold Present would be the one to mop up.
Okay, that's fair enough. On to the Coral Hurdle at Ascot, upcoming at 2:40. Nicola, you got some prices for this? There's two battling out for favouritism.
Very, very close in the betting. If the cap fits, is even money favourite, and he looked really well when he came back at Wincanton, coming second to Verdana Blue. And then I suppose he'll be fitter for that, because we hadn't seen him then since St. Stephen's Day at Kempton. That's a long time ago, so I think he'll come on from that. But the money's been coming in for We Have a Dream for Nicky Henderson. Again, came third place in that race where Verdana Blue won, and probably just needed to blow off the cobwebs in there at 5-4.
Fair enough, yeah. We've a split jury on this, do we?
Yeah, I don't think the cap fits. He does.
Okay, very good.
I fancy We Have a Dream.
He does headlines as well. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I just think over this trip, I just thought in the Elite Hurdle at Wincanton that Nicola was talking about, I just thought We Have a Dream, it was a case of it was too sharp around 2 miles around Wincanton. It was actually just short of 2 miles. And I just think this extra couple of furlongs at Ascot, I don't think they're going to be as aggressive as they were at Wincanton. I think that run, it's so hard for these juveniles the second season juveniles coming out, but I just think over this trip, I think he's probably a better horse than if the cap fits. And I loved the run of We Have a Dream at Wincanton. It was the one probably I took out of that race to say, do you know what? This is a second season juvenile that could actually hold his own in this grade. Yeah. So We Have a Dream for me.
There's not many of them. And you are with the cap fits?
Yeah, it's surprising. Well, they are closer in the betting than I would have predicted. So obviously people do agree with David, and I might be missing some, but I actually thought if the cap fits would improve for the step up and trip as well. And 7 lengths, it's a lot to make up. I think they'll both come on. I just didn't really see a reason why he turned the form around. As David said, it's tough for the juveniles to give away a penalty.
Nicola, are you going to provide a casting vote in this race here? Just when we were.
Oh, I'm going to have We Have a Dream as well.
Okie doke. All right, fair enough. Right, elsewhere around the grounds on Saturday, couple of selections. Duke, we'll start with you at Haydock, 225 at Haydock.
225, obviously first assignment leaps off the page, gave the bookies a hiding last week in Cheltenham. He's £8 well in. He'll be hard to beat, but I think 8 runners, Paisley Park, he's making the market.
I love 8 runners.
Well, we love 8 runners, and he's making the market for this Paisley Park, who is a ridiculously talented horse. If they could get his mind right, he's very big, he's a big baby, he's clumsy, and he's inclined to kick hurdles out of the way. But he was so impressive in Aintree. Now, he was assisted there by the fact that the low sun meant he didn't have to jump for the hurdles.
Yeah.
But he improved generally in his hurdling. I think he might just be getting it together. And he has a huge engine. It wouldn't be a shock if this horse made up into a Stayers Hurdle horse. And off 147, he looks a knocking each way better.
Just a note on that race, False and Blue makes a trip over for Gordon Elliott, and his course owned by Gary O'Brien's syndicate. And I play a lot of golf with Gary because we're in the same society. And I remember playing with him, I'd say it could be two months ago, maybe 10 weeks ago. And I said, how's False and Blue? What's the plan? He said, the old Betfair fixed brush hurdle, it's not a fixed brush anymore. That's almost the plan, like that is the main plan, which I thought was interesting for a horse like that that's so well handicapped over hurdles.
Should have won Irish National last year, like.
Yeah, very unlucky. Richard Johnson booked Gordon's team, obviously in terrific form at the moment, and just a track like Haydock could play to his strengths, and if he does produce his best chase form over hurdles, he could be bang there.
You like at Ascot as well a little earlier on, the 150.
Yeah, I like horses switching to top stables, and the fact that Cyrus Darius has switched from the Jeffersons to Colin Tizard, I think could be huge. Again, it's probably foolish to read too much into stable tour comments, but just listening to Colin Tizard talking about this horse, like he thinks he's a proper Grade 1 horse over fences. It's interesting that this is his starting point for the season, and he goes so well fresh. He's won after a 111-day break, a 167-day break, a 235-day break. So we know he goes well fresh. I think his current mark, I think he's 148 at the moment. I think it probably underestimates him a little. I think he's a proper Grade 1 horse. If you go back to the Grade 2 win as a novice at Aintree, that was actually the day that Don Cossack won. It was a breathtaking performance. So I think he's actually better on this ground. I think he hopefully can blitz them. That's Cyrus Darius in the 150 at Ascot.
Good stuff. It's a good weekend's racing in Ireland. Before we mention Navan on Sunday, you like one at Gowran on Saturday in the 220, Juki.
I do, Tom. Yes, that is correct. None other than Last Goodbye. I think this is a good spot from Liz Doyle. You would have thought he'd been a contender in the Troy Town. He's a talented horse, but
why is he not running it?
I don't know. Well, but maybe they just looked at this race because the horses that he has to beat on ratings are Jet and Tycoon Prince.
As opposed to going into a Troy Town with 12 runners from Gordon's.
Jet and Tycoon Prince, I put it to you, not Warriors of the Turf.
No.
So, first assignment has a very good record fresh and should be really hard to beat her.
And no, it's not first assignment, no.
Oh, indeed, it is not. It's Last Goodbye. The first shall be last.
Last Goodbye?
Last Goodbye.
Okay, let's move on to the Sunday action from Navan then. Your home track, David, your home track. And this is surely one of your favourite races, the Troy Town, is it?
Love it.
The Ladbrokes Troy Town.
The Ladbrokes Troy Town Chase, of course. That's what I have written on the sheet, Nicola.
It's a very important sponsorship for the track, yeah, very important, vital actually to the future of the track, and thanks to Ladbrokes for sponsoring the race and keeping
I like your lying voice, it's very good.
Yeah, unfortunately I had a kind of an outside anti-post fancy in this Velocity Boy, who has not been declared, but it just means, because I was finding it hard to choose between Velocity Boy and Dunicus, and people will see this race and they'll say, how can Dunicus give away weight to everything? But Elliot has booked, in the words of Brendan Duke, the boy, Liam McKenna, to take £7 off. This is a shrewd move, because this is a horse virgin on Grade 1 class over fences. You go back to his win at Limerick last Christmas in the Grade 2, the big race that's now a Grade 1. Alboom Photo was struggling to keep up with him there when he fell at the last. He has 3 P's next to his name, which is not good, but he's won first time out for the last 2 seasons on the trot. This has been his aim. I did Gordon Stable Tour. This was the race he mentioned for Dunicus. I think he could have a class edge on his rivals here, and I think he's 16-1 with Ladbrokes at the moment. I can see him going off good.
Gordon Elliott looking to make it 5 in a row in this race as well. Ran 11 in it last year, going to run 12 and has a reserve as well. So He's loading it, but Dunica's the one you're with. How did it's about what 10s the field, isn't it?
Actually, Manila Bow 7-1 favourite now. Obviously, was sent off favourite for Cork before coming down 3 out. That's Mullen's only runner apart from a second reserve. So Gordon Elliott's the one most people are going to concentrate on. As you said, he's going for this for the 5th time, which is just amazing. It's his local track. Davy Russell rides out Sam, so he is second favourite in the betting at 8-1, who won the Cork National, of course, on his return last month. Rogue Angel has been interesting. He's attracting a little bit of money, and it's interesting that Paul Townend's on board for that. He came, 3rd in the Kerry National, 6th in the Munster National. So, he's one we expect to go close, 12-1. And money for Joseph O'Brien's one is interesting as well. Arkrish is in there at 16 from 25-1. And Rachel Blackmore's on board.
Good stuff. By the way, if 2 do come out and Undress gets in, we're taking that as a victory for the show as well, aren't we? Undress, and the colours of Sean back on board.
Yeah, Johnny Ward's most prized possession.
Yeah,
Undressed.
after Sabras.
Yeah, Undressed. Hopefully he gets in for Johnny, because he actually has a chance if he does get in.
Yeah,
and he could be, if Johnny gets behind that now, it could be a plunge horse.
Sure. Jakey, I think you're going to agree with David Jennings.
That's unbelievable. The only jolly I haven't tipped all day. I thought I'd dazzle people with Dunica's. And then I came in to talk to David about this beforehand, and I asked him about the boy McKenna, and he said he's got game. And I don't even necessarily think they had to claim off him. I think off 150 based on that flow gas run. Now, obviously something went radically wrong in the spring, but if they have him back to form of 150, it wouldn't be one of these shows, Tom, if I didn't mention the class angle in a handicap. We love that angle.
You love that.
16-1, a big price.
Good stuff. On to the rest of the Navan card then. The 1 o'clock at Monksfield Novices Hurdle has been won in recent years by the likes of Sam Crow and Death Duty. Felix Deji fairly disappointed last time out, but obviously Gordon got like a din on in here as well. Who do you fancy in this?
I fancy at a push Felix Deji, because I'm the forgiving type, as we all know. Yeah. I think he's a little bit misunderstood in that he's very keen, but I think he's a stayer. He's a stayer with speed, as Mr. Wells might say. Like the last day, everything went wrong. It was a horrible performance. Didn't jump well. Was keen. Was awkward. He just looked like a horrible horse. But I think he's far better than that. And I think if he does get into a rhythm early, if he can settle, I think he's talent-wise. I think he's by far the most talented horse in the race. But he just needs to put it all together. It's like a soccer player that's really good at training. Like, apparently he's as good a workhorse as they have. Yeah, he's a good workhorse. So if he can just bring it from the training ground to the pitch, I think Felix Deji, and people will be moaning at the screens now because I'm tipping Felix Deji, but I think he'll win.
Okay.
He just brings forgiveness to a new level. It's like he's becoming an apologist, misunderstood. It's like, what do you think of Paul Pot, David? Oh, misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're consistent in fairness that he will be a prize. I was going to put up one that ran in that race, actually, none other than the Magnium. Obviously, Dinon sets a good standard, but is down a trip and has a penalty. That was a good effort from Magni. He was a bit keen early, but shapes like a horse that wants a trip. Was staying on well despite being keen early. Thought he was an each-way play against the likely Fab Dinons.
Good stuff. Nicola, do you fancy anything in that race?
I haven't. No, we haven't got it priced up just yet, but they'll be up shortly.
The rest of that Navan card is excellent. There's lots of horses in here to sort of keep an eye on. I'm just going to leave you sit there for 1 sec. But the second race today, that Mare's Maiden Hurdle, Tukey, one carrying now the colours of JP McManus. Gypsy Island was very impressive last night, wasn't she?
Very impressive on debut and landed a gamble. I think she was 20s into 3s, and Peter Farry would be delighted to sell to the green and gold because he gets to keep her.
Yes.
So she'd be a short price, but she should be winning.
And do you think she's the kind of it looks like a mare that could really progress over the course of the season as well, doesn't she? Just the way she won her bumper, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, she was a massive. It was just a brilliant performance. Yeah, the form hasn't been tested since, although the 4th of Gordon Elliott's did win a bumper. Now it was a poor bumper at one, but so she's an exciting mare.
Okay, David, it's time. It's time to talk about this beginner's chase at 2 o'clock at Navan, and the winner will be.
Well, sure, it has to be Paloma Blue. Like, I think if anybody wants to have an anti-post bet before the weekend, they should back Paloma Blue for the Racing Post Arkle. Had a very generous 16-1 with Labrooks. I think Paloma Blue is an Arkle winner in waiting. We saw Lawler last weekend. I just think, like Lawler, I think we'll only see the best of Paloma Blue now that he goes over fences. Schooling has gone well. He's just like, he's a 149 rated hurdler who was always going to be better over fences. And I go back to that Supreme run, and to get within 3 lengths of Somerville Boy, I thought was a hell of an effort. The run behind Sam Crow looks good now as well. I just think he is a potentially top class chaser, and hopefully he will produce the goods for Brian Cooper and Henry de Bromhead.
Anything else at your home track on Sunday?
Yeah, just one other one it's in the handicap hurdle, the 3 o'clock. Our old buddy, the name escapes me, goes again under a penalty for Noel Meade and Mark Walsh. Very impressive at Naas. I think he still is a lot more to offer. I think we're only starting to see the best of him now, and I think he'll be very hard to beat. That is the name escapes me in the 3 o'clock.
Good stuff. Right, it's time for our best bets of the weekend then. And Nicola, we'll start with you. Best bet of the weekend. Give us a treble as well.
Okay, I'm going to go with Benatar. I also like We Have a Dream. That's both at Ascot.
Both at Ascot.
And then I'm going to move to the Ladbrokes, Troy Town, and I am going to go without Sam. And my best bet of the week, well, it has to be Mike Bite.
Okay.
But I did mention each way Clandis Oval, just to be clear.
Absolutely. You gave us the forecast on the Betfair Chase as well. Right, Chuki. Trixie?
Yes, a Trixie.
Traditional Trixie?
Traditional Trixie, thank you, Tom. And I will nap Mike Bite because he's going to win. I will also stick that in a Trixie with the 220 in Gowran, none other than Last Goodbye. And in Aintree, what time did I say that horse was running?
Well, I know why you're stuttering, because it's the smallest writing I've ever seen in my life.
Just put your
give
notes
the
up there.
camera a
Look.
Like, that is like, it's like looking at an X-ray.
Yeah, so I may need to review my note strategy for the next time if I'm let back on.
It's not just shorthand, it's small hand.
And I will stick in Paisley Park, who is running a 2-something.
225 at Haydock.
Thank you, Tom.
Okie doke. Dave Jennings?
I think Mike Bite is an absolute certainty, so in the Betfair Chase I'm going to go for Mike Bite. I really like Cyrus Darius in the 150 at Ascot, and with the step up and trip likely to suit, I think We Have a Dream will win the Ascot Hurdle without Lorena. So We Have a Dream, Cyrus Darius and Mike Bite.
Good stuff. Well, those are the best bets for the weekend on What's the Word. We'll be back again next week, but lots more Grade 1 action from Fairies.